before I get David Coleman on, I have this little short thing on the infrastructure of railway.
The railroad has been essential to the development and identity of the United States, serving as a crucial means of transportation and a symbol of progress. Its historical significance is evident in the westward expansion of the 19th century, particularly with the completion of the Transcontinental Railroad in 1869, which connected the nation and facilitated the movement of goods and people. This not only boosted economic growth, but also fostered cultural exchange, creating a shared American experience. In modern times, the railroad remains vital to the nation's infrastructure. Freight trains transport over 1.7 billion tons of goods annually, providing an efficient and environmentally friendly alternative to road transport. This helps reduce traffic congestion and lower greenhouse gas emissions, aligning with the growing focus on sustainability. Passenger rail services, such as Amtrak, further emphasize the railroad's importance by offering affordable travel options that connect urban and rural communities. This accessibility promotes social equity and allows diverse individuals to engage with different regions of the country. Moreover, the railroad industry supports millions of jobs and drives advancements in technology and engineering. As a critical asset in addressing contemporary transportation challenges, the railroad embodies the spirit of innovation and unity that defines the American experience. Its significance resonates in the lives of all Americans, linking them to their past and shaping their future.
Okay, I'd like to introduce David Coleman. I believe you have relocated, right, Dave?
Yeah, that's right, Mike. Yeah, I live in Ohio now, no longer live in the Pittsburgh area. Living kind of, I guess, for rail fanning terms, between the Newcastle sub of CSX and the NS Cleveland line. So I'm doing more rail fanning on the Cleveland line than anything. I'm kind of rail fanning a lot between Hudson and kind of around maybe Macedonia right now. That's where I've been doing most of my rail fanning since I came over here. But a lot of the same, a good amount of the same trains I saw in Pittsburgh, a little different time they run at. But it's it's a little different out here. The rail fanning is nice because you can get some better radio reception with your scanner, a lot flatter terrain, and then just overall, the rail fanning is a little bit easier, less driving for me, and a little bit easier to go to spots, and you're not sitting on hill, you're not driving on hills and mountains and stuff. So for me, I think it'll be a good thing in the long run.
Excellent, though. So that means I could meet up with you a lot closer by. So later on, you might have to shoot me an address where you're at and stuff, though, and meet up out there. Anyway, what news do you have for me this time? Because last time when we did this, the video got corrupted, and I got the audio track though, and I just never put anything together from the previous time. Unfortunately, eventually I will put that together. But tonight's video should be a-okay. So what do you got tonight?
Yeah, I got a lot of information tonight, Mike. I guess we'll start with a story out in Chicago. A friend of mine who works for Union Pacific said there's a story about there's a settlement on the Metro rail line usage. And Metro is the big commuter rail service out in Chicago. They operate a lot on the freight lines out there on CPKC, Union Pacific, and BNSF. Primarily, they go out to like the northern and western suburbs of Chicago. They don't go east into like Indiana on the CSX or the NS. But they go, and I guess the UP finally got some kind of agreement. They offer, and I guess they tried to settle without success. They were trying to get a settlement, and then there was like a thing where I guess the raised rates will take effect after the current agreement with Metro expires on July 1st. And then from what I heard from this guy that works for Union Pacific, he said he has 2 years he can work for Metro. Then I guess he has one last decision to make where he can either go back to running UP freight or he can go stay on Metro with his job that he has. So that's kind of where they're at right now with the employees. So, you know, that's a big commuter operation. Obviously, those commuter trains, you know, are really vital to the infrastructure in Chicago there. People going back and forth between home and work. And then the tough thing, too, Mike, is like some of those lines they're on are really busy. Like the BNSF line that goes through, I think, Naperville, Indiana. And then there's a line that goes down to Joliet. That's the line that goes out to, like, Fort Madison, Iowa. That's a real busy route. And then the UP line that goes across into, like, Iowa and goes out towards Nebraska, that's a busy main line as well. So fitting all these commuter trains in with the freight is not the easiest thing to do. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all shakes out. But yeah, I guess they're like tied in with these railroads and they're trying to work together. But it sounds like it's not the easiest thing to always do because there's obviously a lot of money on the line, and Chicago is such a big hub.
Wow. Hey, yeah, I'm sorry, I got preoccupied there for a second. Wow, that's really something different there. So, oh, gee, I'm losing track. I'm sorry.
Oh, no problem. Yeah. So, obviously, this story kind of relates to what we're talking about. This next one is
okay.
On the freight side of things. We've talked about this before. How there's been a lot of break-ins in Chicago and other cities out west, and
yeah,
Memphis. There was a big thing about break-ins with containers on the different lines into Memphis, and this was a topic a few days ago on train orders. This guy Lackawanna 484. I'll give him credit for the post. He's a pretty interesting poster on train orders. He always brings up good topics, and I don't know if you listen to the show or not. I promoted the show pretty heavily on some different websites, and I emailed it out to a bunch of rail fans and railroaders. So I'm hoping they let people know about it. So I guess he was saying on these rail cams online, he hasn't seen too many open doors on containers lately. And then I guess what I heard, what a lot of people are saying is that BNSF hired some private security to do some, kind of look into these break-ins. I guess it's supposedly out in Barstow, California.
Mm-hmm.
And they also, it sounds like Union Pacific, though, is still having a lot of issues with it. I guess, BNSF got the federal government involved with it because of all those break-ins with the Nike shoes.
Yeah, I remember that. And
yeah, out in Arizona and New Mexico, especially where the trains were changing crews. But leave it to Union Pacific, man. They're kind of behind the eight ball with this a little bit. This guy, Memphis Freight, added to the post on train orders a few days ago. He said there's been a lot more open doors on the containers on the Union Pacific. And then I guess there was on Tahachi Pass, I guess a BNSF southbound double stack train had an open container door and hit a UP Z train and broke the side window on the conductor's side.
Oh, jeez.
This was from a guy named Dennis, and this was around milepost 379. So if I don't know the mileposts out there, like where that's from, but it sounds like Pinkerton is one of the security firms.
Yeah, I know the name Pinkertons. Yes.
Yep. So they're involved with it as well. And then I guess the big thing is it sounds like that. It's just hard to catch these people. It sounds like because it seems like obviously they have a way, they have a formula of how they do this. They probably do it under the cover of darkness. And,
absolutely.
They probably have, box cutters or, probably vice cutters, whatever you want to say.
Bolt cutters.
Yeah.
Something like that.
They're not breaking in with something small. They got something large to do it. But I think it seems like it's happening more and more down on the routes that go through Arizona, where there's more trains, and then that Golden State route, which is the old Rock Island, between like El Paso and say Topeka, Kansas. I think that's where a lot of this is happening, Mike. And if you think about it, it's pretty bare and pretty open in that part of the country. So, it'd be very easy for someone to break into a train, where if you think about like where we watch trains here, on the eastern half of the country, it's a little more urban and it's more wooded, I would say. And it would be much harder to, like, say if a train was recrewing at Conway Yard or Collinwood or somewhere, there's more people around, and it's more in like a urban environment. So I think it's a little tougher to do it on the East Coast. And I think plus the West Coast, a lot of this stuff is coming right off these container ships. So I think these thieves might probably have a real good idea of what's in what containers. And, they just have this down to a science, unfortunately. And I just hope the security is ramped up even more, because this is obviously doing an impact on our economy, and it's hurting these railroads.
Wow, yeah. We talked about this before. They were doing that in Chicago, and there's a stretch of tracks, I guess, just loaded with all kinds of debris that they thrown off the cars, cardboard boxes of new equipment, though, and they took the equipment and left the boxes. Remember that?
Yes.
Yeah, we talked about that before, absolutely.
Yeah, it's interesting. And some people, one last thing on this, some people are blaming like the intermodal terminals for the way they load the containers. Honestly, I think you can't blame those people for it. I think they're just trying to do their job to the best of their ability, probably as fast as they can. So, I don't think it's their fault at all. So I think it's more the security. And while we're on the topic of security, Mike,
sure.
There was a big story that came out back on May 23rd. CPKC donates a high-tech scanner to bolster U.S.-Mexico border security. And I guess the Adensmeyer Bridge is the only railroad bridge crossing the Rio Grande River, which links Nuevo Laredo, Mexico, and Laredo, Texas. So obviously CPKC donated a vehicle and cargo inspection system to the U.S. Customs and Border Protection to increase the security of trade by rail at the port of entry on the U.S.-Mexico border a couple weeks ago. So obviously, Mike, this is a big thing. It also expedites inspections. And I think they just know that traffic down there has actually probably grown a lot over the years.
I bet.
A lot of products, as we've learned, are shipped in and out of Mexico. A lot of our stuff that we get, probably stuff we have in our houses or apartments, wherever we live, have, Mexican-made stuff. So it's, definitely these trains are going to be carrying commodities that are important to us. And I think this is a good thing that CPKC did. Obviously, they know they have a huge investment in this, and I think that was part of the reason the CPKC went and did what they did. They were like, you know what? We can merge with Kansas City Southern and really pick up some business here on the Mexico border. So I give them credit for stepping up the security side of things. It's important to do that. And I think it's only going to be a good thing in the long run.
Well, I hope so, but I just wondered, is the traffic going to be increasing or decreasing through there, because all these tariffs and things going on here? Are they going to be shipping anything from Mexico? I hear ridiculous things about, we're going to be at war with Mexico, and it's all probably fake stuff, you know.
Yeah, let's
But
hope
is it true or not, you know?
Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, I mean, we just don't want to be. Yeah, that could be a problem. I mean, obviously being in trouble with, something like that. I mean, that would be. Oh God, that's the last thing we want. But yeah, I think it's interesting that they did this. I guess last year they made a second bridge, so obviously if they made a second track, Mike, they obviously feel like the traffic is going to be getting busier down there. And we'll see what happens. It's obviously time will tell, and let's hope that all that stuff is just talk about the tariffs, and it never really happens.
Well, I hope not, though. But I don't know if the tariffs is such a good thing, but maybe against these people. We've been talking about this though too. China, they're the biggest stealers of American knowledge and products, and here they're turning around making it cheaper though, and cheap, and trying to bring it back over here though. And well, it's only right though we tax the crap out of them because they take advantage of us so many years. Now, in my opinion though, China was never our friends, ever. They're not trustworthy. They are disgusting people. They're evil, crooked.
Yeah.
But anyway, now I'm going to end up veering off on the wrong subject here. But getting back to the traffic through Mexico, though, I hope these tariffs ain't going to affect goods and stuff, though, because we do depend on other countries, though, bringing in goods here. But I guess Trump's aim is, though, to bring back American-made things and create new jobs, and let's start making our own. Because, like I said about China won't even buy their own stuff. They want ours, made in America.
What world we live in, yeah.
Exactly, it ain't just China, though. It's everywhere else, all of these foreign countries. Anyway, okay, what else you got here?
All right, so let's go back to the state you and I both reside in now, Ohio.
Sure.
News here that the Ohio Rail Development Commission approved a $491,700 grant for the Napoleon, Defiance, and Western to replace 7,000 ties between the communities of Defiance and Napoleon. The project cost over $983,000, and NDW, now under the management of Patriot Rail, owns and operates 43 miles of track from Woodburn, Indiana to outside Napoleon. The rail line was behind on regular maintenance, but rehab became a priority under new management, and it sounds like they've got, they're going to do this, I guess. So that's good for business out there.
Yeah.
I don't know if you had ever seen any of their videos, but it was almost like when I've seen their operations, they operating like so poorly. I mean, it's almost like the trains could run like maybe less than like 3 miles an hour. It was crazy how slow they were going, and it was almost kind of scary that they had the operations like that because of the tracks were so rickety and rough and bad. So it'll be interesting how that all shakes out with that. The other story with this was back to an area that you and I have rail fanned in Ceylon. It's between Vermilion and Huron.
Mm-hmm.
There's a nursery there, Willoway Nurseries.
Yep, I know exactly where it is. There's a little private crossing going across there between Fraley Road and Hahn Road.
Yep, so they've got the ORDC approved a $450,000 grant for installation of lights and gates at a crossing on company property. It is bisected by Norfolk Southern's Chicago line. While a private crossing exists on the site for interplant moves and deliveries, the high volume of traffic on the Chicago line, as well as the heavy equipment moving over the tracks, have raised safety concerns. So obviously, this is a line that, we know it's busy at night, but it's busy during the day too. I mean, I was like today, I mean, the trains I saw today in Hudson would have all been going through there during the day, unless they had some major problem or something where they got held up at the drawbridge in Cleveland or at Max or over by the airport there. They went into Berea siding for a regroup. But most trains, yeah, Mike, that I've been seeing would go through there during the day. Besides some of these real late westbound intermodals that go by late at night or during the overnight hours. But you got a lot of trains that go through there still, probably 50 a day maybe. So,
yeah,
you got to, they got to invest in that, and it's a good move. I think it's smart by both sides. I think too, again, this goes back to Norfolk Southern after what happened a couple years ago in East Palestine, that they got to do everything they can to be safe and smart, and better to do something like this and work with a company than not work with them.
Well, absolutely. Get back to the nursery briefly. I have witnessed a few close calls at that crossing that we were talking about. I've seen big semis go across there, and less than a minute, trains barreling up from the, what's that marker? 228-mile marker over there on State Route 61. Boom, they're there. I've seen a few of them go across there. I don't know if they bother to look or listen or anything, but I think it's a very good idea. They put their own crossing there to, make them trucks stop. Something's going to happen sooner or later. Safety concerns? Absolutely. Back to East Palestine, I briefly went by there one day a couple weeks back. We were down in East Liverpool looking at a bulldozer, and I said, hey, Scott, since we're moving up north though along the area, let's check out East Palestine and see what's the progress going on there. Well, they're still working around there cleaning up and doing things, but most of them big tanks and stuff, they're gone. They're gone. But I didn't look down there where they were burning that waste, though, down the street, though. Although I've looked in that direction where we were by the crossing to see if something come along. I didn't see any smoke or anything burning, so I have a feeling they probably got it I want to say 92% cleaned up, maybe. That may be pushing it. Because that crap is still going to be lingering forever. Anyway, thought I'd let you know on that because I did recently go near there a couple weeks ago.
Interesting. Yeah, that's it's never going to end. It was weird. A few weeks ago, before I moved, I was out in where was I? Like Enon Valley. There, like right near the border in Pennsylvania, and there was maintenance working. There was almost no radio activity. I didn't even know I was going to see a train. I was there like 2 or 3 hours at the tracks, and finally something showed up. But there was maintenance being done, and it was right around East Palestine. So I think you're right, Mike. I think that's always going to be somewhere where they're going to have a lot of things to clean up, and there's probably, like you said, I mean, the stuff's always going to be in the soil there. It is what it is. I mean, unfortunately, there's very little you can do about it. It kind of is what it is. It's sad what happened, but yeah, we just have to accept that. And hopefully that is a lesson that is learned. And I have noticed, at least some of the trains I've been seeing here since I moved here, the trains have been a little bit shorter. A couple times I went, there was almost nothing with DPU, which really surprised me. And that was unusual. Then there's some days where I see a lot of trains with DPU. So I guess it just all depends on, who's running things that day and where, I guess probably who builds the trains and, what their mentality is, I guess.
Wow, interesting. Today, I've been, when I'm out in the shop today, helping my son with a truck, though, I encountered a new rail fan cam, though, in Huron, Ohio. It's called Main Street Rail Fan, Huron, Ohio. Just by coincidence, though, the night I went up there, I started to do a night shot to catch one of them Amtraks at night.
Yeah.
One of my subscribers texted me and says, did you know there is a rail cam where you're at right now? And I thought, how do you know where I'm at, and he told me what it was, so I looked it up, and I'll be doggone. I pulled up his cam, though, of the location where I'm at. Then I got playing around with the streaming, though, because you could back up the live stream, to a time, though, and hunky-dory, there's my vehicle pulling in my usual spot, though, and when the train was getting ready to come by, you can see me walking out by the road, and so I started live chatting with the gentleman, though, and he was tickled pink that I was there, though, and I had the PA speaker on the front of the car on, though, and he could hear it, though, and he said, that's absolutely awesome, I like it, so I think this new guy over there, and me, we hit it off pretty good. So now I look at his stream, though, get an idea how much traffic's going on. Should I go up there, or should I go down to CSX Newcastle or the Greenwich Division line? So, yeah, it's a very good resource now. I love it.
Yeah, those cameras are great, especially when you can't get to the tracks on a certain day. Those are great. I really like those cameras a lot. I watch. There's a few of them I watch. Probably Fort Madison, Iowa was probably my favorite one, but there's a ton of them out there, and great to have. People on most of the chat rooms know a lot, and I think I recognize where that is in Huron because I've rail fan there before by the gas station. Not that I've gone there a lot, but I've gone there enough and seen some trains. And the tricky thing about Ohio, like I was thinking about this, like. The other day was like, you think like when you're in Vermilion, there's trains that get off the Chicago line that go to and from Bellevue.
Yeah, the Cleveland line, yep.
And then there's trains, you go west to Sandusky, there's northbounds that come up from Bellevue that get on the Chicago line.
Yep.
Then you go out towards Oak Harbor by the connection, and there's trains that get on and off the Chicago line out there. So
that'd be Toledo Division back into Bellevue through Fremont, yeah.
Yep, yeah, absolutely. And by the way, that Fremont story a few weeks ago, I don't know if you saw with the trespassers, condolences to the families of that, especially the crew who hit those people who were standing on that.
Oh, yes, I forgot all about that. I don't have a whole lot of information on it, though, but I do know about it. I know about it.
I don't have much information on either. Just my condolences are with the families, especially the crew of the train. I mean, that's the one thing that they'll have to live with that the rest of their life, and all they were doing is doing their job. So you always have empathy for those guys because they're, a lot of people don't realize to stop a train, it takes probably a good mile. Especially as long as these trains are, Mike, that we're seeing.
And all that weight, you got to stop it.
Yep, in the precision scheduling era, since this Hunter Harrison model has taken over, these trains are getting longer and longer, and to stop one, it's hard. I mean, especially if you're on a line that's got a lot of curves and a lot of elevation to it, and even if it's a small curve or a small grade, it's going up or down. Not something you do with ease. It's not like a car where you can just swerve over to another lane. So, your total condolences to obviously the families of the victims, but the crew, the engineer, and that conductor are, people that they have to live with that, and obviously this is how they make their living. And imagine, I don't know what their backgrounds are, but I mean, imagine what they were thinking. So definitely, my thoughts and prayers are with them.
Just like the incident that happened in Vermilion where that suicide happened with the driver of that car who lost his life.
Yep, absolutely. Yep, no doubt about it.
And how did the conductor and train driver felt, man? I'll tell you, they're not gonna damn well I ain't gonna forget it. By the way, we've been on here 30 minutes, so anything else? So because running a little longer than we usually do here.
Yeah, I guess kind of to wrap it up here, Mike. Tomorrow is the 26th anniversary of the Conrail breakup. Last year we did the big. We basically spent a whole show on that. We obviously didn't do that tonight. I guess if anyone's a rail fan tomorrow, maybe go out and see maybe Railfan an old Conrail line. If you're out there, that's kind of what I'll probably do tomorrow.
Well, all these lines used to be Conrail around here.
yeah, they sure were. Yeah, most of them were.
All of them were.
Yep. And there was a post on train orders today that Trains 1275 guy had a really good post. I guess he was out by like Vermilion and Huron, and he saw a ton of trains today, and he was saying that one of the gates, something with the crossing gates still had Conrail engraved in it, which is pretty neat. So there's still pieces of Conrail around there. If you look at the boxes by the interlocking, like say CP 244, 232, any of those on the Chicago line, those still are in Conrail blue. So
yeah,
and even the ones on the Pittsburgh or the Fort Wayne line and the Pittsburgh line east of here, those are in Conrail colors too. So Conrail is like the like if it says Leeds or says whatever interlocking they're at. So Conrail's still around in a lot of people's minds. They're not obviously around. They're just around as like a terminal railroad in New Jersey and Detroit and around Philadelphia. And and also that guy, I don't know if he'll listen to the show tonight, but that guy with the Onondaga Cutoff model railroad, that guy, I think his name is Dave Abelis. Mm-hmm. And he's got a huge model railroad dedicated to Conrail. And he used to railfan Conrail a ton when he lived in Syracuse, New York. So that's something that always kind of keeps the memory of Conrail alive. But yeah, it's the further you get away from Conrail, it's like it seems less and less like Conrail. So I think that's maybe all I have to say to finish things tonight. Let's just if we could go back to Conrail, we probably would at this point. But yeah. I don't know if that'll ever happen.
Okay. My last remark on the Conrail, though, there is one crossing out in Eaton, North Eaton, on road. At the crossing, though, at the base of the signal, signal light, though, says Conrail right on the base down there, a big tag on there, and it's still there. And the signal is just as old back as from the Conrail days, still operating.
Wow, that's cool. That's
in
really
fact,
cool.
in one of my past videos, I videoed that tag, though. Not alone, the old Conrail signals are still in existence operating. So, anyway, that's enough of that. So, we're here at going on 34 minutes. So, anyway, hey, what city are you living in?
I live just north of Akron, actually, around Stowe and Cuyahoga Falls in that area.
So you're actually Stowe or Cuyahoga Falls, or what?
Yeah, right on the border of those two cities. Yep. Right,
so what city should I say?
Stowe is good. Yeah, that's
Stowe.
Good.
Okay,
yep.
Stowe. Okay, some people say Stowe. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, welcome back to Ohio. And hey, Stowe is a lot closer than heading over to Leedsdale or in that area. So, yeah, I've been around Stowe quite a few times. So, very good. All right, Dave. Thank you for being with us there tonight. Though, appreciate you coming on here.
You got it, Mike. Yeah, I'll be probably be out tomorrow doing some rail fanning in Hudson, probably in the afternoon, and enjoy rail fanning around there. There's a lot of different spots around there. There's some places to eat right around the tracks there, and the tracks run at elevation, so it's a little bit unique and different.
Very good. Oh, yeah, I don't know if you've been seeing my National Train Day series 6-parter, though. Tomorrow's going to be an interesting one. We have 2 doubleheaders, and OSP Road Pirate, stop for speeding on me. The video encounter is on that video tomorrow, so check it out. And I mentioned Chili Castro delete laws, so I told him about the video, and he aired it today. So he said I did a great job defending my rights and knowing what to do. So I got probably an A out of it. So thanks, Chili. I appreciate it. Anyway, I guess that'll conclude it then.
Sounds good, Mike. Yeah, you have a good night, and I will talk to you soon.
Okay, Dave. Thank you very much. So, okay, that was David Coleman from Stow, Ohio, relocated. So, anyway, that's enough out of me.